Turn that music down. Morning, everybody. Live from New York today. And I don't have my stream deck here, so I'm gonna go ahead and say what's up. Cheers. Gonna draw a comic today for about 90 minutes or so here, live in VeeFriends headquarters up in New York City. See buildings behind me there. Prove that I'm here and not in my normal environment. They're working on some equipment behind me, so if they kick me around, it's fine. Pretty flexible. So, no TikTok today. We couldn't get that working this morning. So good. Is it the classic turn it off, turn it back on? All right, I'm just going to stick with this one view today. We're not going to do fancy camera angles or anything like that today. Uh-oh. Box of the iPad. Come on. Let's fix the iPad stream real quick here. There you go. All right. Try not to touch that. Hey, Dan, morning. Am I going to the Knicks game tonight? I am not going to the Knicks. At least as far as I know, I'm not going to the Knicks game, but you never know where the day might take you. That's why my hotel's booked up. For sure. No worries. Thanks, guys. All right, now I can talk. The IT guys are in here, so working on TV or something. I'm up in the office in New York City over here. VeeFriends headquarters, VaynerMedia. Very busy place. So, Apparently, the one TV wasn't working in the room. I don't need it. All I need is my iPad and the streams here, and being able to talk out a little bit. We might have some surprise guests, maybe if people pop in, or if they want, wave and say hello. I'm not going to be like, I'm streaming, get out of here. I think it might be cool to like have Andy pop in or something like that. But busy people, so we got a lot of meetings to attend. The only meeting I have to attend today is this one right now. Drop. Look at today's comic strip. Characters. Waiting. Crash name. Marketing seminar. Or not. There was a marketing meetup that my friend was running. The hour or something. I'd just gotten off the train, unpacked my stuff, and she's like, "Come on down, have a drink." Didn't know anybody, and I was like, "All right, let's sit here and draw VeeFriends on these name tags." That's what I did. Very some notes of things to talk about. An interesting trip. I seem to be a magnet for people sometimes when I'm like on public. I'm also very from people who just come and start telling me their stories. Which is cool. I don't mind. And this fella came up to me at the Greensburg train station. So Greensburg is near Pittsburgh. That's where I picked up the Amtrak train. I didn't fly this time. I just wanted to take the train. No. Hopefully my audio. Can you hear me? I don't have my normal mic, so it might just be picking up the. Okay, great. I'll be talking to myself here. Anyways, train trip. I always enjoy the train to New York. It's about 8 hours, which is, people will be like, that's crazy. But when you kind of factor in, going to the airport, waking up super, going to the airport 2 hours early, all that stuff. When you do the math, it makes for a very unproductive travel day for me. I withdraw and at least write and think and not feel exhausted and tired. So the train situation is pretty good for me. But I get to the Greensburg train station early, and there's a fellow there, and it looked like he wanted to talk, but I was kind of busy, and he came up to the platform, and he immediately beelined over to me. He's like, "Oh, hello, good morning." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, hi." He goes, "My name is Magnus." Magnus, cool. That's the name. I've never met a Magnus before. And so, just maybe a little bit. He started telling me his life story about making sure he's on the right track to go to New York. I'm like, "Oh yeah, man, you just get on this train, you go all the way to Penn Station. You don't gotta worry, you're gonna be there. You'll be there, you'll be there." I like that. Go on. And he's like, I used to work in New York City. And he starts telling me this really in-depth story. About 40 minutes I talked to Magnus. Or he talked to me. I was listening for 40 minutes. And he told me all these. He worked in commercial real estate in New York City in the 1980s. And I'm going to get to a part of the story because I thought it was a very thoughtful lesson about things. And he worked in commercial real estate, but I guess he worked in all these fancy real estate. He said the names of all the places I can't remember, but he was a very prestigious real estate firm in the 80s. There was a female manager there, and she used to say, like, you can't dress like this, you can't dress like this, but even like the nicest. She would send him to these really expensive places. You know what? I'm gonna try to fix this. I got 1 minute. 1 minute to fix transfer. I have a solution, I think. Dan, you're gonna help me out. You're gonna assist me here. I have a mic with me. It might be better. Switch up. Try and switch up. See what. Let me try this mic. Bad audio will not do. Can't tell these stories about Magnus. All right, let me go to my settings real quick. Change this mic up. And trooper. So, inputs. The default for mic. Okay. Move this a little closer to myself. What does that sound like? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Oh. Could be the computer. Turn that down. Everything's so sensitive. If I bump this wire goes off. All right. As long as my audio sounds pretty good, I want to tell this story about Magnus, who I met at the train station. All right, Dan, does this audio sound better? I'm using the shirt. All right, great. And then tell me if it gets choppy again, because I don't want to wait. This cord here, this little cord, so finicky. You touch it once, and it's not like my home setup. I don't really have to touch that much. All right, back to the Magnus story. See, we're rolling with it. This is a live stream. I'm live in the office here in New York City, so you can see the wonderful skyline behind me. I don't mess around too much here. But that's me. Good morning, everybody. I'm here working on the VeeFriends comic strip for the next, 90 minutes or so, or maybe till closer to 11. There's a meeting at 11. So, set an alarm for. Let's go ahead and set an alarm. Set an alarm for 9. No. Set an alarm for 10:50 a.m. Great. That'll alert me to turn this off. All right, I'm going to get back into talking. We might have some guests pop in and out today. Stream, they can come say hello. So yeah, I'm at the train station. I meet this guy named Magnus. I'm just going to recap this. Magnus is kind of an odd fellow. It's okay. But I seem to attract people to tell me their story. So, good morning, Ann, over on Twitch. I'm live here in New York City, so I'm going to draw these comics for a little bit and talk about my conversations I've had the last couple of days. It's very interesting. So anyways, Magnus worked in commercial real estate in New York City in the 80s, he said. He gave me this very long, detailed story about where he worked and all that. Am I live on Instagram? Good morning, Instagram. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm remote today, so appreciate you guys hanging in there. So Magnus worked in commercial real estate, and he worked at a fancy law or a fancy firm here, and they wouldn't let him wear like just regular old suits, so they would send him to very expensive clothiers. Long story short, this guy did voices and all this stuff. It was pretty wild. He was like doing the voices of people, and it was crazy. And meet very interesting people on the trip. And he gets to this point where he's like, he tells me he goes to this place, can't afford it. Goes to that place, can't afford it. Like $5,000 was like the cheapest suit that he could get at these fancy places. So he was like, I just can't do this. And he didn't want to tell his work. So he went to the Salvation Army, and he found the same name brands that this lady said, you must wear these suits. Because, people would turn in these suits around here to get new wardrobes every season or something, or every quarter. So he ended up getting a suit for $39.95, and it was like a $10,000 suit. And he said it wasn't the color that he liked, but he just put up with it. No one ever asked him. No one knew. They just assumed that he shopped at all these fancy places. And he kind of looks me in the eye, and this was the big part of the story. He kind of looks me in the eye and he says, he said, he's like, all the places, all the rich places with all the fancy things, these $5,000 ties made of spun gold and all this stuff. He said, those things aren't for the wealthy. He's like, my wealthy friends don't buy that stuff. He's like, that stuff's for the middle class that wants to seem wealthy. And I was like, I think that's a very interesting point, because all of the truly wealthy people that I know don't, drive around in Lamborghinis and wear $10,000 suits all the time, and it was just an interesting point. But now here Magnus was years later at Greensburg train station on his way to here for something. 68 years old now. He says, I got my suitcase full of plans, got all my business plans in there. He goes, and I know I'll never live to do them all, but I'm going to keep trying. And that's cool. And then he took a phone call, and it got weird. This is where it gets weird. So he's arguing with this fella on the phone. I'm not going to say the guy's name. But he's arguing with this fella on the phone about where to be picked up when he gets to New York for the trip. It was like a pretty sitcom kind of phone call. I could hear the guy yelling at him on the other end. And so he's like, it's Moynihan Station. You pick me up under the sign that says Moynihan. And the other guy's like, there's a million signs that say Moynihan. How do I know which Moynihan? He's like, we're going to spend hours in Moynihan Station. I'm like, this is insane. And then the really weird part, where it got weird was, he goes, yeah, I brought all my business plans. I have the one suitcase. I've got the commercial real estate plan. I've got the space plan. Like, I thought he meant like space, like office space. But then he said, and I've brought the remote viewing devices. And I'm like, what? Like remote viewing devices? And he's like, the guy yells at him like, why are you bringing that stuff? And he's like, it's the ones that the governments use for remote viewing. And I'm like, whoa, this just got really weird. So yeah, you meet a lot of interesting people on the train. Uh, People with money don't show off their money, and they try not to spend money on things that don't make money. That's right. And that was interesting. It was just that there's so I had two conversations in one day about money from two different levels. It was an interesting thing. I always think about my conversations like that, like or my days go like that. Usually I'm at home and I'm just like talking to my dog or whatever. But when I'm out in the world, it's just interesting the stories that kind of come. So in the morning, I got that story from Magnus. While I was on the train, my friend Nora, who runs I don't know, she runs like an agency of some kind that helps agencies, marketing agencies. And she's from Pittsburgh, and she said, "Hey, I'm in New York. We're doing a happy hour. You should stop by." I was like, at first I didn't want it. I was kind of feeling like I just want to go back to my room and drop comics. It was a whole thing. It's like one of those, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, do I go to the party or not, or whatever? I don't know. I'm tired. I wasn't really tired. I was just like, I won't know anybody. I just know her, and this is, yeah. But I went, so I forced myself to go, and it was fine. But it was just a different. I mean, I didn't know anyone there, and clearly the place was packed full of. I won't say like it was very like New York's different, so there's a lot of people hustling and bustling around, a lot of people trying to get there. So I was at a marketing meeting of young agency people, and um, great conversations there too. Like very cool, very talented. I love marketing and um, advertising, storytelling. So to me, all advertising and all marketing is storytelling. Like, what story are you telling about your brand, or that kind of stuff? I just love that stuff. Um, so it was interesting to be in a room full of people that were hustling and bustling and not really talking about work or anything. But this one fella, I won't say his name or anything like that, and he had I won't even say what he did for a living, but it wasn't agency stuff. He just worked with worked with them, with one of the consultants there, and we get to talking about what we're doing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just up here I'm just up here to draw comics and work for VeeFriends. Um, that was an interesting thing too, because my friend was like, "Oh, DJ's being too humble. He works with Gary," and their eyes got real big and couldn't. Like, they were like, "Whoa, like, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I don't know. My friend invited me for free drinks, and it was just a strange vibe." And so, anyways, the back to the main part of the story would be about money. And I'm talking to this fellow, and I'm like, he's telling me about data, clean data, and getting clean data, and how he helps broker that stuff and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I know a little bit about that. And he was surprised that I knew a little bit about that, because I look like just like a guy. And it's like, yeah, I know a little bit about that. Like, embedded data stuff and secure, clean data. I know a little bit about that. So I was listening to him, and he just said something like, I said, "Oh, and sales are up or whatever." I was like, he's like, "Yeah, it helps them make more money. It helps me make more money." He's like, "And that's all we're here to do, right? Is make more money." And uh, I kind of smiled. I was like, "Well," he's like, "Right?" He's like, "That's what we're here to do. We're just all here to make more money and all to make more connections and make more money." And I'm like, I said, yeah, maybe. Like, I think that's what I said. Like, yeah, maybe. And he just looked at me like perplexed, like, "What do you mean, maybe? That's like the only thing. You got to make as much money as possible to make more money." And I was like, I don't know about that. So I said something to the effect of, or, make some people happy. or just be happy, you know. And you're just like, wow, I'm a bit different with that, I guess, in those environments. That's probably why I don't go to things like that, because I was like, I don't got anything to sell. So what I did was I found the name tags that they were like, hello, my name is, something, something. And I drew VeeFriends characters on them. Like, stay humble, don't be flexing, um, don't be a cynical cat. Because I didn't really know anyone else. So I was like, all right, let's go have these free drinks and talk to Nora a second, get out of here, but run around a little bit. Um, but that was 2 conversations in one day. One guy told me in the morning, Magnus, that he knew really wealthy people and they never would buy fancy things. And then the other side of it was this young man who was like, that's all there is money. And that's all we're here to do is make more money. And I was like, Magnus must have lived, man. Like, Magnus must have lived quite a life. And he's like, I'd never live in New York now. Magnus told me, he's like, it's just too expensive. He knew all of it. He knows everything about real estate in New York. I heard it for 40 minutes. I wish I could have absorbed it all. It's probably pretty outdated, but it's very basically the in a nutshell. He was saying it's expensive to be in New York. That's why he lives in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, very similar for me. All right, I'm scanning through the comments here real quick just to make sure, just to look around. So they booked a room for me here at the boardroom. So I'm in the office. Some people might pop in or say hello. They probably don't. People just I think when they see me drive, they don't want to bother me. But if they're listening to me, like maybe Corso's probably listening right now. He's in the other room. It's okay to come and bother me. So yeah, that was that was an interesting day, to speak to Magnus in the morning and then this fella at night. And Magnus had it right, I think. But I'm wondering I don't want to know. I don't want to dig any deeper, guys, than just that experience that I had with Magnus. But I'm like, wow, Magnus really lived it. Magnus really lived quite a life. Quite a life. Magnus lives. So many questions I have about Magnus, though. Like, was that his real name? I chose just to listen, to speak. It's hard for me to get out of conversations because I like to listen to people. So Ford Neo Design said some artists can handle interruptions and others can be thrown off their groove and interrupt when they're interrupted. That's definitely true. I think I have 2 secrets to that, because I've had a couple artists ask me, like, how do you work in how do you work in chaos or with people around you? And I did a lot of Comic Cons. That was number one. So I used to do a lot of comic conventions, and you'd have to sit there and talk to people as you were drawing, so that helped a lot with it. And the other thing was when I raised 3 boys, so they're all grown men now. Weird to say, but so when my kids were real little, I drew comics and I had deadlines to meet, and I literally had kids like climbing on top of me, on my back, as I'm trying to ink, and I'm like, no, oh man. So I had to find a balance of, it trained me to work in chaos. So we're gonna bare minimum Bob here. I wanted to have an untucked shirt because he's like, gonna have his hand on his chest, like you've been picked for something. Yeah, designs. I'm not really good at. It's funny over on the YouTube chat. Dan's like, "You're a humble guy," but if you get me, I can talk about these things all day. I can talk a lot to people about some pretty deep stuff, but um, if I'm probably not going to be the first person that know, points out anything, or like I'm not going to flex, or I don't really feel like is being a cartoonist cool? Yeah, but I don't really. It's just my job, so it's just my vocation, my craft. So I'm not going to run around and be like, "Look at me, I'm a cartoonist. What to do?" I know guys like that. For sure. Yeah, that's fine. It can be like that. I just don't feel comfortable being that way. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. My iPad is very hot right now. Do you think that Apple makes iPads break when they put out new iPads? My iPad is like unreasonably warm right now. Right after I just got sponsored ads for the new iPad. Interesting. There are VeeFriends superheroes? Not really. Not yet. But I mean, they're all kind of heroes in there. I see a little bit delayed. Try not to touch these camera cords. God darn. This doesn't look like a card break. Uh-oh. I did not schedule this stream, so it probably does say card break. No, this is not a card break. Can I edit the name of it? Yeah. I'm gonna change it real quick. Oh no, I shouldn't change it because well, this is a special card break and it's called Drawing Some Comics. In the restream. It says break back. Well, you know what it is. I'm drawing comics. We'll change it after the fact. Hey, whatever. It's not a big deal. This is DJ. I am DJ. I'm drawing comics here in New York. Comics and coffee, technically. Must have didn't push the wrong button. I just hit the stream, but we use the same software. So, but you should tune in for those card breaks as well. Get yourself a nice collectible. VeeFriend. And if you're thinking that there was a card break, and you're like, wait, I didn't know there was comics. Well, we have comics. They come out daily, and I draw them, write them. I am at Vayner right now. Yes. Hudson Yards. So it's the Vayner X whole thing. It would be nice to like take my camera around, do a tour, but I assume that's maybe sort of allowed. But I'm not gonna do it without permission. Gotta follow the rules. You know. Can't break these rules. I don't even know if there are rules for that, but I'm assuming there probably don't have people running around doing live streaming. People, there's important things happening here. Imagine I'm just like running around like filming. That's what all the VeeFriends hardcore fans are like. DJ, just go ahead and show us what's going on behind the scenes, and I'll drop all the alpha. Totally makes sense tonight. Someone said, "Am I going to the next game?" I am not planning on it. So it is right across from where I'm staying. So that'll be an interesting evening. Looking forward to the chanting. I'm not sure if you guys all saw the picture of Gary at the Knicks game. It's like a pretty famous photo now. It's on like the NBA, ESPN channels and stuff. And like, yeah, I'm going crazy. Right. So we got bare minimum Bob here. I'm just kind of getting into the flow a little bit. I'm gonna work on this comic today. Of course, we got other business to attend to. Yeah, I got to my hotel room yesterday, and it was really weird. It was a strange experience. Checked me in, and I go to the room, and the card won't work to the door. And I heard like children or like people snickering behind the door, and I'm like, "What's going on in here?" And I'm like, "Well," went back down to the desk, and I'm like, "This is weird." So they called that room and find out they're very nice and kind to they're very kind to the people in the room. But the lady looked the front desk lady looked very perplexed. And she told me, she said, "Oh, we're sold out right now." And I'm like, "Well, okay." But there's definitely some shenanigans going on in that room. Sounded like some kids having a blast in there. So we have bare minimum Bob there. I'll check his haircut. I think it's something bowl cut. He's got aviators, shiny glasses on him. Check the details a little bit. All right. That cat is me contemplating my trust issues. I get to draw him being very angry. This will be fun. That was David over on Instagram. At least the title's right on Instagram. Oh. WZMI 157 said I'm the MVP of VeeFriends. I don't know about that. I think Gary's probably the MVP of VeeFriends. Live Procreate. I assume I have the new Procreate. I don't know. Someone asked me if I'm getting the new Procreate. I think Procreate just updates itself. I don't have the new iPad because I don't think it's out yet. I'm also kind of not one of those. I don't really. but I think it's not revolutionary. I think even my old iPad, this is probably what, 2 versions ago now. I think this is the M2 chip version. I don't know. It's plenty fast for what I do, and I'm not really too worried about having like the new hotness. Well, he looks like a vampire. Um, but I was interested in the Apple Pencil thing just because of this technical stuff that they showed. I was like, I could see that being something that I would learn to use. But I'm not really one of those people that goes out and buys the new thing like on the day of. I sold my old iPad, like I think it was like maybe like the first iPad Pro. I sold that when I upgrade, and the person that I sold that to years ago, their kid is still drawing on it. So even the old iPads are still working great with Procreate. And, you might not get the hover element and whatever, but you can draw on it. So not too worried about it. If you're ever on Instagram, make sure you check out the comic today. Let's take a look at it together. That's weird. So today we have Gossip and Gus. Alert Ape at work, whatever his day job is. What's going on, Gus? Have you heard the juicy gossip about Becky? He's like, oh. And then what I tried to pull off here, and I don't know if I did it, was the idea that be the bigger person is somehow inside of the speech balloon. So we're breaking a fourth wall, but we're also we're like, just thought about this element, like they pop into the speech balloon. They're like, don't read this. They don't listen to this. Right? And so then the rest of it just becomes kind of like noise. The pencil there. And so then, that's a lot of words, but I needed to get a lot of words in this one for this panel. But he's basically saying, like, hey, if you're spending time gossiping, like when you hear someone gossip, so if I could impart this to anybody, it would be like, when you hear it, kind of this alarm goes off and they just appear and go like, no, be the bigger person. Like, don't talk trash on other people and, that kind of stuff. You should be talking about like your health and your legacy and health. And Cloudy's a little bit more like, and find better friends. Right. He's like, thanks for the reminder. And then like, I ended up with like a real, like, originally he was saying something like, I have nothing to add to this conversation, but I thought just nope as he's walking away kind of was the fun part. So if you dig that, go to Instagram, make sure you like it, drop a comment. Don't be a gossiping Gus. I'd say that's really hard to do sometimes. That's not hard, but it's like when you become aware of it, like, because if you're just like mindlessly going about your day, we complain about so many things. So I just told my wife this morning, and I'm like, I'm going to do my best not to complain about anything today. Like, sure, my room wasn't whatever. That situation was weird. Like, I don't really have much to complain about, but like, it seems like people find things to complain about. That's what I'm saying. Like, they can't. I could have said like, oh, I went to that thing last night. I didn't know anybody, and I should have just stayed in and drew or something. But no, I was interested in the conversation. You can always find a way to like see a silver lining about stuff. It doesn't have to be like a party all the time, right? But I think it's just real easy, especially with social media, to fall in and start complaining about things and fighting about things. So gotta watch that energy. If you could just visualize be the bigger person popping in and going, nope. So that's what lives in my imagination now. Is that, the more I'm around these characters, I'm like always thinking like, don't be a cynical cat. Don't be a cynical cat. And I was thinking about logic. Logical line. I know I drew him a little wonky the last time for the liking of. Oh, the name's escaping me right now. Anyways, I drew him a little wonky last time. I promise. The next time I draw a logical line, it's gonna be a badass. I promise you. Buddha Care Bear says, "Love this. I can feel the cat's emotions." Wait till you know what the cat's upset about. I don't want to give that away. I want you to read the comic tomorrow. You can only imagine he's upset about something, and he's actually saying like, let's just turn it on. And he's like, I wanted to be saying like, "Are you effing kidding me?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what. I'm gonna make it friggin' just because I don't really care for the whole stars thing. Because then you're like, he might be saying, you know, but are you freaking kidding me, right, meow? We don't get an often. You don't. It's not often that you get to use that, right, meow. So we're doing it. But I'm making that bigger. It's I wonder if I could turn off all the text so I could just keep that on there. Just for there we go. Great. That's fun. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, I have a stream scheduled for when I'm in New York, and I'm like, oh man, there's a room here that they booked for the day. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting in there and I'm gonna figure out how to just go live without being in anyone else's space too. I don't want to be in the middle of the action out there. You know? There is the card space where I can stream from, but I don't want to mess anything up. You know? That's like Adam's space, Connor. I'm sure that they don't care, but yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a surprise. It's a surprise. Yeah. I'm gonna try to change it afterwards. I was gonna be friends live. How about that? I just don't want to change it and then have to have them, you know. Oh well. You got to roll with it. It's a catastrophe. Oh, I'm gonna steal that. That's great. It's a catastrophe. We have the perfect. We've said that quite a few times. I've never heard catastrophe. Stealing that. With your permission, Booty Trigger, I won't just. Yeah. Well, it's a surprise. This isn't a card stream, I know. Just glad you're watching. And we can edit the name of the stream after the fact. I don't think anybody's going to be like, wait a minute, you didn't give away cards on this stream. I could go out there right now. We can make it a surprise card stream. I could just start ripping packs live. Right? Would that be neat? Like, get him out. Don't let him in here again. He's opening all. I keep forgetting. I want to inquire about maybe getting one of the vending machines for the backdrop of the office. And maybe we can do some giveaways of those minis. Speaking of which, I'm missing my mini. I'm like, man, what happens when you're remote? All right, I'm gonna do the duck. I'm in the decisive duck room. So here, let me change my screen. I'll just show you what I'm talking about real quick. I'm not going to spin this around because it will break, but I got my Apple Pencil and I got my duck. Decisive duck, and I'm just going to put them on there. Those nice pencil toppers. There we go. Draw bees nuts. That's funny. Michael Rocco. That's funny. Maybe we'll put that in the background somewhere, just like a nuts brand. Okay, what was I going to do? All right. Well, if for some reason you're not familiar with VeeFriends, we've got the VeeFriends. What's the Apple about yesterday? No. VeeFriends. Where are you? VeeFriends. Can't open page. Okay, there we go. VeeFriends.com. If you are familiar with that. If not, there's over 280 characters created by Gary Vaynerchuk. There's a Hannibal Ant there. It's in the comic this week as well. This is not the rips, the trading card stream, but you can watch the trading card streams very often, usually in the afternoons and evenings, and then on Sundays they do the break fast, opening those collectible cards, and it's a game as well that you can play. We got the minis here. Maybe one of my favorites. Favorite things. We got the vending machines around the country. There's a map of the vending machines. You can get these, start collecting them. Seasons 1 and 2, I suggest you go and collect those now, because seasons 3 and 4 are coming out. As I understand it, when 3 and 4 come out, these season 1s and 2s will be gone, so you won't be able to get this cool decisive duck topper anymore, unless it's like on eBay for $1 million or something. So these are the seasons of characters that you can get. By the way, if you go up to the top right-hand corner, comic corner, you can read all the comics right on the site. And there's the archive there of all the months we've done so far, quite a few. I don't know what number we're on. I'm not really numbering them openly. You can download a pretty high resolution version of the comic if you'd like. And also then there are tags. So you can click the tag of the character and you can see all the comics that that character is in. So if you have a favorite VeeFriends character, you can do that. You can also hit all characters and kind of just go through all the different characters that we have in alphabetical order. Like I said, there's over 280. And one of the questions I get was, how many have I drawn? And I don't know. I have not drawn all 280 yet. That's for sure. That is for sure. But yeah, and am I on? Oh man, I shouldn't be on the VeeFriends. I'm on the VeeFriends Cards channel too. Oops. You can end that. Sorry, VeeFriends Cards. Love you guys. Totally messed this up today. Okay. I was wondering why the views were down. Well, we got a few more minutes for working on this. I was in a rush too because I was like, it was after 8:30, and I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to set this up. I'll tell you what, I'll let the cards guys. We'll say it's a comic stream, and then it'll just be them opening cards, doing giveaways. How about that? I was wondering, like, usually there's people on X, and I was on the wrong channels. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm on the right channels now. Maybe. Well, VeeFriends over on Twitter. I'm sorry. It's the wrong channel this morning. Restream. This software that I use is like a little finicky sometimes. I don't understand why. Also, I wasn't able to connect to the TikTok this morning. So. But I am live on Instagram as well. So thanks, Instagram, for watching, checking out the comics over on Instagram. Make sure that you like them over on Instagram. And comment. Do all that stuff over there. Oh, he's mad. Too much talking, not enough drawing today. I had some stories to tell there. Too much talking and not enough drawing. Okay. So, take any guesses as to why Senator Pat is so upset? You can put those guesses in the chat. I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer, probably till about an hour or so. 58 minutes. Usually I like to go for like 90 minutes. So let's stay for good solid. Yeah, Dan, I know. You're in the Jar Die Club. Today's prompt was which one did you roll, Dan? Did you roll, or was that's tomorrow, right? No, that's today. We have a daily drawing club. I usually do morning streams over there too, where I was for a while. I got busy. I like to get up and draw. I like to get up and not just draw for work, but I like to get up and kind of get my brain moving, do a little sketch journal or something like that. You know, things that people will never see. Maybe. It feels good to get up and get your imagination moving, and your creativity going. So. I'm sure it'll be the oh, I just lost my train of thought. I also didn't bring my other bag, so I'm hoping that my Apple Pencil tip stays um, cooperative. The word I'm looking for. It seems a little scratchy right now. Like kind of. We'll go back to this for a minute. I don't want to spend too short. Thanks for peeking in and watching. I joined the wrong channels this morning. I messed it up. Totally messed it up. I am but a mere cartoonist. I'm not a perfect person. We're gonna be streaming a lot more too. So soon. Or at least that's my plan. Okay, that's good. Yesterday on the train, it was really bumpy, and I was trying to ink, and I went into my settings inside of Procreate and kind of changed a brush and called it Smooth Train. I made a new brush that like stabilizes when you're bouncing around. It's really hard. It's really hard to make a brush like that when you're not bouncing around. So, um, but I might just give that brush away to artists out there that use Procreate. If you're in a car or a train, kind of do some inking. Um, that doesn't matter the chair that he's sitting in, I guess. All right. I got here early this morning too. Like there wasn't really anyone here except for Corso. Corso was here. Yeah, but I'm live in the office at VeeFriends in New York today. I'll be here all week. Well, I leave Friday morning. Back on the train. Maybe I'll have a train ride with my friend Magnus. There. See the little pictures. Shadow there. With a person kind of back here on like a podium. Thought I might have had this guy before. But we're gonna see. Actually, the more I think about it, I think I want this to be Cal Boyd. And if you know, you know. We usually talk about the comics after they're completed. I don't know if I should give too much away on this one because we'll talk about it maybe on the next stream. We got toast the most. I don't know what that means. But, Twitter or X. I'm not going to play like I do. Don't know what you're talking about. All right. Yes, this is Procreate. Somebody has something. Sticker now. Okay. Where is Gary? I don't know if Gary's over in his office or not. I'm going to assume that he's in a meeting. Maybe he'll run in here and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And then he'll leave. He's busy. He's a busy man. Or I don't know. You can check his channels. He may or may not be live on Twitch. I don't know if he's been doing that lately. I haven't checked. But check out Gary Vee over on Twitch. It's where he's been usually going on. But it's what time is it? It's only 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. So you got to remind people too. Gary runs. VeeFriends is just one thing, but Gary runs also, Vayner Media, Vayner X, all this stuff. So I just had to describe this to someone else because they were just thinking like, Gary's just that guy on the internet that talks about entrepreneurship and stuff, and I'm like, no, man, he's actually doing it. So he's actually got to, you know, when we're in it, we don't really think about it, but there's people that just don't know who Gary is that are outside of it. They just think he's just an influencer. I'm like, no, he's actually running, I believe, one of the world's biggest uh, advertising agencies in the world. There's multiple offices around the world. He was just in Mexico City. Like, I don't know how. I think he like teleports these places. I don't know. He's always back in New York, but he was just in Mexico City. He was in Los Angeles. You know, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I don't even feel like still not. I'm overthinking this. I'm not gonna worry about that. The main part is that Bob looks very happy about something, and the cat is very very mad about this. And you see, it's not that I'm hiding heart. Like it's not that I'm hiding the be the bigger person, but somebody told me yesterday, uh, two different people from two different parts of my world that don't know VeeFriends. Let's talk about this, VeeFriends. Let's talk about this together. And I like to talk to you and kind of get your vibe on things. So if you're listening, we'll have a discussion about this. Heart, be the bigger person. This art, character, and the cloud. Um, somebody told me yesterday that it freaked them out. I'm like, what? I guess it looks like a scary character or something. And I'm like, I don't know what. I, now that they've mentioned it, I think I can't remember the name of the video game, but it's like these big red lips that turn into like scary teeth. I didn't realize that connection. So do you think it's weird that there's a giant. That's the question. Do you think it's weird that there's a giant hard head? That someone else said that like characters without faces, humans can't relate with. And I was like, that's interesting. That's something I hadn't thought of. 'Cause I'm not really seeing like a lot of comments or reach or anything like that on this comment this week with the hard head. So it's not that I'm hiding him in the background or that he's really small in today's. Just trying to like kind of not freak people out. No. Because in the VeeFriends world, I think he's pretty beloved. You know, he's this little um, grumpy cloud, and and a giant heart. And the whole idea is to be the bigger person in all different types of scenarios. So that could be like getting cut off in traffic, or being, you know, mad at an office a coworker, or gossiping like today, like walking away from that stuff. Just be the bigger person and don't take part in that kind of stuff. Anyways, the question that I'm asking is weird. I recommend watching no faces are essential. No face characters are essential everywhere. I know. That's what I was thinking. Doing character. And I wouldn't say the two people that told me that they're from two different spectrums of my life. You know, I don't want to call them out because I watch the stream occasionally. I appreciate the feedback. But I just didn't like the comment. I didn't like the character. Kind of freaked them out. I thought that's weird to hear that. Yo, what's up? Hammer time. Stop, it's hammer time. Honestly, I'm up in New York drawing live in the office. I messed up today. I got on the wrong stream. It says cards or something. I don't know. But hey, what's up, Corso? Corso, you can bring me some cards to rip. You know, I could rip some cards in the on the stream. We could let's make it. You know, hopefully, it's pretty chill. Whatever. You know. So yeah, it's just interesting to me. I don't know how many people are listening, but that be the bigger person character just kind of didn't vibe well with the non VeeFriends readers. You know. I like to talk back and forth in the chat. It's a little easier to do at home because I can have my big long flat screen at home, but I can look at all the chats. Yeah. There's things I want to say, and then I'm like, oh, I can't say that. Don't say that. I'm always like monitoring my thoughts. I'm drawing something for something today, something else besides the comic, but it's comic related that I can't talk about. But you'll probably see it at VCon, so I can't talk about it. I try to be very careful with my. I can't believe I told that entire Magnus story this morning on the wrong channel. At least it's probably on YouTube though, so you can go back and watch that. It's really fascinating interaction with a fellow named Magnus yesterday morning at the train station, and he had some really good insights, I thought, at the end. It's always an interesting thing. I, when I go to other cities, and especially New York, I mean, I don't get out as much in New York as I used to, but like out, I don't go out as much. I think that kind of wears off. You always meet interesting people if you're open to it, you know. So what I used to do when I'd go to like comic conventions or creator conventions, I would always, go find some interest and just kind of chill out at the bar and just have a drink, just listen and just be open to conversation with people. Meet a lot of different interesting people. Also, hotel, like the hotel lobby bar and stuff like that. I would always meet interesting people coming and going, learn their stories. So I think I might have said it on the other stream too that I've got a face that kind of, I don't know, like some people have like a resting bee face, you know what I'm saying? But I've got like a resting sad face or a resting angry face. So people think like, "What's wrong, fella?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm totally fine." So I think maybe I'm wondering like, why do people come up to me and start telling me things? Like, maybe they think I need a friend or something. I don't know. But it's always an interesting experience. But I was just telling myself over the weekend, like, my ex-wife and we used to say she's like moving to the mountains or something right now. So um, we used to say that all the time, like when we were younger. Like, we want to move away from people. And I'm like, I used to feel that way, but now I used to say like I don't want to be around people when we were younger. But the older I get, the more I want to be around people. I think in a weird way. It's strange. I'm gonna keep this smooth train brush on. So I kind of like the way these came out yesterday. Let's go back to the Instagram. Thanks for watching over on Instagram. Thanks for reading the comics over on Instagram. Really appreciate that. I'm pretty open about I'm encouraging you to like and share the comics on Instagram. For funsies, we kind of we have a metric that we call pi, where if a comic gets like 400 likes, we know it's a good, we have a measurement of that was a likable, enjoyable comic or a pie. So we baked a good pie of it. So uh, I am using that as a metric to see if things are vibing. It could be other things too. It could be like, so this week there's not enough pies. We're getting like 100 likes compared to whatever. Nothing's really taken off. It could be a lot of things. It could be that the heart's weird to people. It could be that the algorithm is weird this week. I'm hearing that from people. Um, could be that my comics suck. Maybe people hate my artwork this week. Maybe it's my fault. It could be that the writing was, not hidden. But so I always use that as kind of a marker. That's why, like on the good days, I don't get, I'm not like, yeah, we did awesome. I don't go celebrate. I'm like, all right, cool. Now the next one. So like when there's a bad one, I'm not too worried about it. Or not bad one. I wouldn't say bad subjective, but like, I also don't want to get too like looking at the numbers too much. We have to look at the numbers to make sure that things are good. We don't want to waste our time, um, but there's a line from that like um, Foo Fighters song, right? It's like done, done, on to the next one, done, and I'm done, and I'm on to the next. There's no end. There's no end until there's an end. No. Someday there's an end for everyone. Maybe there's not. Maybe there is no end. It's another lyric from a Strokes song. Is the end has no end. The end is no end. Just keep going. Keep going. Just talking lyrics for the rest of the morning. Because now I got Beastie Boys stuck in my head. Dan says he's very contradictory when it comes to being around people. I think I do get peopled out occasionally. Last Saturday was a people day where I was like, all right, I've had enough people for the day. I want to go home now. Just because everybody was out, which was great. Weather was nice. But everything got delayed for me on Saturday. My plan for Saturday totally went awry. And I got the comic like turned in super late. I was like, not beating myself up about it. Just going. What? I was like, all right, haircuts took 2 hours. And then breakfast, we went to breakfast, and the computers were down at the breakfast place. And the lady was very stressed out. We were being very nice to the lady. Very, once I got back to my regular day until like 2:30 in the afternoon, I was like, wow. The plan was to be home by like 11 a.m. Some days will go like that. But definitely by the end of that day, I was like, or by the end of that afternoon, I was like, all right, I just want to go home now because I don't know what's going on with people, but they're everywhere and they're driving crazy. It's like people are rushing around because the weather was so nice, and they, you know, didn't want to miss a minute of it or something. I get it. It's not big. Little surgery on this. Yeah, that's the first time yesterday when I was hearing some feedback from people that don't know VeeFriends very well, or they just know that I'm drawing it. It's the first time that I heard anything that was kind of not critical, but like that someone was like, "Whoa, that character's freaking me out," and I'm like, "What?" So I asked the team internally, I was like, "Have we ever heard that before? Have we ever heard that be the bigger person scares people? A giant heart man?" No, we never heard that. So Gab said, "I feel like this cat is going to be somebody's screensaver." Mission accomplished. Not many people listen to the Strokes. Well, that's that. Oh, that one's sad. That's sad. I can understand it. They're not around much anymore. Right? Acquired taste. An acquired taste with the Strokes. No, it's a very fine band. Okay. Classic. Cancel symbol there. You can see that this brush, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called oh, Smooth Train. Doesn't do what I like my other brushes to normally do. So it's not as I like a little bit of roughness to the brush, but I actually kind of like this smoothing on this just a little bit. So let's stick with this for the line art on this one. I think it's almost like a vector brush, kind of. I'm curious to see how it'll hold up on the without shaking around. Looks pretty good. I like that. Yeah, it's fun to be up. I haven't seen anybody yet because when I got here there was the Corso, but all the other folks are out there in meetings. Looking forward to chilling a little bit, working on some stuff together in person. There's nothing wrong with remote work, but I feel like being in person is important too. Some people think that might be like, oh, isn't that a hassle? Someone said that to me yesterday. I'm like, oh, isn't that like a lot? I'm like, no, I mean, you know, that's what I mean. The brushes and do what I wanted to do. Yeah, I'd come up as often as I can, as long as it doesn't disrupt the workflow. I guess I don't know if it's been announced or not yet, but I'll be traveling a little bit for another show that we're doing. And, we got VCon coming up in less than 100 days. So we got some travel beyond, coming here. So I'm trying to like challenge myself to be more on the road. Um, oh boy, Buddha Care Bear with he seems furious. He might just pull out the murder pen. It's great. Buenos dias, Tyson over on Instagram. What's up? Good morning. How did I get this gig? I can tell that story really quick. How did I get this gig? Well, there's a long version of the story. I'm going to try and tell a really short version of the story. Really short version of the story is that Gary posted on Twitter that he was hiring a comic strip artist and writer, Sunday comic strip artist and writer. And I said, okay, uh, I can do that. And I was sick at the time. I was pretty down and out. Like I was like ill, unwell, but I just was like excited. I'm like, all right. So I put my live stream on and started just drawing the VeeFriends. I didn't know much about them. There wasn't much story to go off of. So I just kind of came up with what I thought would be cool. And I started live streaming. And then, one thing led to another. They saw the live stream. The second night, I think I was live streaming. And it caught their attention. And, you know, um, and so before I knew it, Andy jumped on a stream and was like, Andy's the president of VeeFriends. I was like, hey, man, you want to have a chat? And then met with Gary. Gary was like, you're awesome. This is such the short version of this story. Gary was like, you're awesome. This job is yours if you want it. And I was like, yeah, do it. I didn't talk them into daily, but I kind of was the one that was like, well, if we're going to do comic strips, Sunday comic, well, then why don't we just do a daily comic strip? And here's my idea for it. Daily. Because really, there's a, it's just like a classic newspaper strip. It gives us more at bats, you can buy it that way too. And also, you're able to spend a little time with the characters every day. And maybe wake up to VeeFriends. So I like that. And now we're doing other stuff. Like I'm in it. I'm in it now. I'm in the routine of VeeFriends. And we did the comic book that'll be coming out. So I wrote that, and um, all kinds of other stuff, merch stuff. It's fun. We're basically developing. Um, we're developing a new intellectual property. That's pretty much what VeeFriends is. Sure, as Gary says, it's kind of like your Sesame Street for meets Pokemon. So what does that mean? That's kind of what we're really getting to the bottom of, like with story, things like that. You know, these daily comic strips might not be super deep sometimes, um, but they're building the IP. So that's it. That's how I got the job. Hopefully they keep me. Hope keep me around. Hopefully. Got a good feeling about it. But I've never worked at a place where the vibes were good, like real good. So it's always like my other jobs were very typical jobs. This is not a typical job. So it's my basically dream job for me. So and the comics are different because the whole thing is different. Because if you think about it, the other comics that I might be drawing, I might not have the ability for the comic to like do anything more than just escapism. And with VeeFriends, it feels like we're seeing comments. They're like, it's crazy to say it out loud to me sometimes, but it's like we're making content that's like really making people's days better. Even like a comic strip or like just these live streams. Um, it's pretty cool. I don't live in New York. Do I live in New York? And is that one of the requirements? No. I live in Pittsburgh, south of Pittsburgh. And have I always been an artist? I'd say pretty much yes, as long as I can remember. You Full time, I did it for 13 years before I went into marketing, kind of storytelling, story directing, and marketing directing. So, corporate stuff. I did the corporate life for 10 years while I drew comics and stuff on the side too. So I got to learn all about business over in the corporate world, OKRs and KPIs and strategies. It really helped both ways because a lot of places need storytelling in their marketing, their strategy, and then a lot of artists need business. So it kind of worked out really good. I was lucky enough to work with a global team, so I got to learn a lot from my German friends and my European friends. The cultures are so different. American culture and European culture is just so different. Um, you get to tell your stories a little bit differently across the pond. It's really interesting. Thanks for watching and hanging out. Sorry I got this stream wrong. I was like, why are there only 90 people on the stream? Now there's 422. Because usually over on X is where we get most of the people watching it. Checking in. I know that it says cards stream, and I know I messed up, and I'm going to go apologize to Adam, the Rips gang out there. And, yeah, sure. I'll answer anything that I can that I'm allowed to say. So. I like to hang out and chat and work on the comics, and makes the time pass. I think I'm going to be doing more of it too. So just we have a lot of things going on, so there's a lot of other things to focus on and put our energy towards. But I think being live is important and accessible. No doubt, I've talked to my other art friends, and it's a challenge for people to do it. And I won't say that it's always easy for me. Like some mornings, I'm like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I got an 8:30 stream. Like I don't feel like talking right now, or something. But then once you get moving, just like anything, like exercise, right? Once you get moving with it, about 20 minutes in, then you're pretty golden. Before I leave the stream, I'm going to talk to the team today, but I was doing some story notes and some character bio stuff, and for Enamored Emu and Wild Wallaby, and two of the VeeFriends. And now I've got this like story stuck in my head about those two. I want to, Enamored Emu is like madly kind of in love with Wild Wallaby, and these all come from Gary's, character notes, and he has like some background information on them. And I was just like really not overthinking it, but just really like thinking about it this morning. I'm like, oh, that would be a fun story. Like Gary described Wild Wallaby as like hacksaw Jim Dugan, remember him from wrestling? If you don't, he used to carry around a 2x4. One of my favorite wrestlers from back in the day because he reminded me of my dad. But I thought, wow, Wild Wallaby. When you look up Wild Wallaby, it does not look like a wrestler. But I started to think about it. I'm like, oh, Wild Wallaby likes MMA, boxing, like stuff like that. And it's a female character, so she's like a fighter. But and then I came up with this quote that was like, oh, man, I forget what I said. But I'm gonna find it right here. We do like quotes of the characters, and Wild Wallabies just came to me this morning. I was like, let's knock some sense into this. Like you're fighting a problem. So imagine the character being like, there's a problem. And the Wild Wallaby would be like, all right, let's knock some sense into this. I don't do voices. Okay. You get it right. You can fight a problem too. Knock some sense into it. I was proud of that quote, catchphrase, or whatever. I'm liking this evening brush, to be honest. Oh, it's up 10. We've got an 11 o'clock meeting. What else? What else? Okay, natural great. Great. We got all kinds of fun. It's really fun to work on this stuff. I like to open my email every day and go like, "Ooh, there's some Moonbug scripts, and ooh, there's some this, and all that's like, it's fun." Can't talk about any of it. Someday though, someday soon. There's something specific about Shrewd Shark that was last week. That's all I can say. But it just had me grinning ear to ear. Shrewd Shark. That's as much as I can say about that. I was like, oh, man, that's fun. Gary was on a roll with that too. Good stuff. As I draw VeeFriends in like these this like corporate environment, I almost want them to be working at this like corporation where, or you know, that like they have day jobs, but nobody knows what they do. Is that funny? Like that one, they did an Apple TV show. They all work in a place and they show up every day and they push buttons, but they don't know what they're doing. So you, like maybe you as the reader don't know what is Alert Dave's day job. Maybe he's like a junior accountant or something. Like just keep that a mystery. But they're just like you and me. They gotta go to a job every day. They don't just wake up and are cartoon characters. I like that part. That they're relatable because like they're just like us. That's cool. Thanks for watching over on Instagram. Especially Gab. Say thanks for chatting, hanging out. Appreciate it. When I go home, I'll try to get like the vertical feeds working on OBS. That's the program that I use that feed streams in. It automatically wants to go to this. To learn a little bit more about OBS. Testing. I think it'd be cooler with a to fill up the whole screen there on Instagram. It's good enough, I guess. So what did we learn today? We learned that I met a man named Magnus at the train station who used to work in real estate in New York in the 1980s. He imparted on me the wisdom that I kind of already know, that true wealthy people don't buy all the rich things in the stores here in New York. That's for the middle class who want to appear to be wealthy. He said all the rich people that he knows don't buy stuff like that. They wear sneakers and shoes. And I'm like, well, that's pretty funny. And I didn't say who my boss was or anything like that. I just said like, oh yeah, my boss wears my boss wears a hat and t-shirt, and, you know, Reebok or Nikes. Uh, So I learned that. We learned that today from Magnus. Thank you, Magnus. And then also that people, I had the feedback yesterday that from some friends that the big heart man, be the bigger person, freaks people out. At least a couple of my friends. I'm very confused by that. I, I've never heard that before. Now I'm thinking about it too much. He doesn't really have hands. And he has no face. And someone else told me that people don't relate to things that characters that don't have a face. But Buddha Care Bear mentioned in the stream here that a lot of anime has a lot of characters with no faces. So, haha. Good morning, Ruthless Rob. What's your message? Let's go. I'm about to wrap this up. Or maybe not. The memes are aesthetically pleasing. Over on the um, Angel, do you mean our memes on our Instagram? I assume. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Chill. We got some fresh animated ones coming too. They're pretty chill. It's nice to break up the stream with that kind of stuff. I think, or break up the feed. I gotta fix this chair leg. Is it like a little kid seat? Oh, sorry, Alert Abe. Sorry, buddy. That's something you guys haven't heard on the stream. Is me talking to the characters. That's weird. If I'm alone in my office and I'll be working on the character art or something, and occasionally I'll be like, "Oh, it's all right. Don't be mad, cynical cat. It's gonna be okay, buddy." There are also cartoonists that have this is something a little strange. Animators and cartoonists will have mirrors beside their desk where they'll like look at themselves and they'll make an expression and then they'll draw that expression. I don't do that. I can't do that. I have a hard time making faces in the mirror myself. It's one of my weaknesses, I suppose. It's good to be in New York. I heard there's a Knicks game tonight. I'm hoping that they win because I I'm not a big follower of basketball, to be honest. But I have so many friends that are like into it. And, I like it when they're happy. And I actually started watching the games because I was influenced by my people here at VeeFriends and Gary watching it. I turned it on one night. And it is exciting because I used to watch basketball when I was in high school. Whenever I was in school, it was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and like that the Chicago Bulls. Like, it was exciting to watch basketball back then as a kid. I remember even watching. It's not like an old timer now. Like I remember watching Magic Johnson play. Wow, but basketball is exciting because it just goes back and forth, and you never really know what's going to happen. You could be down 20 points and then bam, just come back. And, it's great. It's fun to watch. I used to watch baseball a lot too or I used to play baseball a long time ago. Long time. And, then baseball's a little boring to watch sometimes, but now I'm kind of enjoying it. Putting that on, just kind of watching a few at bats. It's very meditative in a way, weird way. We've got a great stadium in Pittsburgh, PNC Park, great ballpark. It's just nice to go to PNC Park in general. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, check it out. Nice view of the city. It's just super chill. Everybody's pretty chill in Pittsburgh. Very neighborly. You know, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So you gotta behave yourself. Yep. Do I hold X spaces as well? VeeFriends does have the 555, 555 at 5. Yeah, something like that on Wednesdays. So follow VeeFriends over on X. Jeremy holds those. I believe it's Wednesdays. I can check the schedule. I don't do the spaces. I mean, I don't hold the spaces myself, but VeeFriends does. Kind of all things VeeFriends, kind of like talking about everything that's going on. So there's a couple people here that are new to VeeFriends, and I'm just going to dive right in and just show you real quick. VeeFriends.com is probably a good place to start. There's children's book coming out from Gary real soon. Summertime here, you can pre-order that. The trading card game. Also, VeeFriends is basically rooted around over 280 characters with different positive, well, not all positive traits. Like Cynical Cat isn't a positive trait, but 280 soft skills that we work on with different characters. Got the minis, like you see on my pencil. And up here in the corner, we've got the comic corner. So we can look through all the comics. This was today's comic. It's about gossiping in the office. And not to do that. And yeah, you can read the entire archive of comics on there. And of course, make sure you follow us on socials, whatever socials you're on, and share the comics every day. And we got the Moonbug animation coming out later this summer. The Coco Melon people, very big YouTube channel. That was like some drill or something like that. Sure, no one flies through the. They'll make a really interesting stream though. If somebody fell through the ceiling. Capture that. All right, good. Good stream. I'm gonna go out and say hello to everybody now that everybody showed up for work today. I don't think they get until 9. I was very early. Not busting anybody's chops here. But thanks for watching over on Instagram and across the rest of the real VeeFriends channels. I'm sorry I messed up on the card stream. I'm gonna go apologize to Adam Rips and cards team. So I mixed the peanut butter into their chocolate today. But we'll be back probably later on this week, or maybe do some surprise streams. Let's see how it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Read VeeFriends and